What's going on, everyone? I'm out here wiring up this Holley Sniper, and I just got it finished up and figured I'd give you guys a rundown on what all I done. And wasn't too bad overall. I have rewired this car. This will be the third time, I believe. So hopefully I'm done for at least a year or so. And yeah, I was gonna show you guys a little tip on some wiring stuff. These little cheap connectors, you get them at Walmart, whatever. This was bought it like a 10-pack of them, or 15 for like $3.50. They're for 10 gauge and 12. I got this 10 gauge wire here. Let's see how much it wiggles around. Yeah, I always make sure my connectors are tight. I usually take a smaller gauge wire, stick it in beside it. Let's see, where's the camera? It helps take all that slack out. Make it where it has, so it doesn't move or anything. Yeah, it makes it a lot better. Then when you get done, take a pair of dikes, cut the little green off, heat shrink, you're done, and you have a good connection. That's just something, a little tip I was gonna show with you guys. Because I never had the right size butt connector, ring connector, or a spade connector. And I always use this trick and it works every time. And it's always consistent. Never have any issues with that. And the heat shrink hides the little bit of an extra wire that's there. Just figured a little tip for you guys. All right, let me get you over to the car. Here we are underneath the hood. I just ran the main harness back this way, following around the valve cover. And there's my display connector. This is my main output, so if I wanted to run a trigger from electric fans, AC kick down, or another ground relay trigger, I run it off this and a tack signal, which I am using a tack signal, but I'll show you guys here in a bit where it's at. And this other connector, this is the main one. This is what runs the car. And it's just sort of wedged in place. I mean, I can move it, but I'm not gonna try to pull that out. And that hole there previously was for the old EFI harness and computer. I'll show you guys what all that looks like. Well, not the old EFI stuff, 'cause it's not in the car. Anyway, there's the fuel pump relay. This is the fuse for the constant 12 volts. As you can see, it's sort of wedged up in there. I'll make it look pretty out of sight, out of mind here in a bit, after I get done showing you guys what all I had going on. And being that this is a Duraspark, I think this is gonna work. I think. Anyway, this is how I'm running the car, how you're supposed to wire it up. See how they go into the negative on the ignition coil. On this Duraspark, let me get you a little bit closer. This green wire here, this is a signal for the negative on the ignition coil. I guess letting it know when to fire, because once you break that connection's when it shoots the spark. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that, but that's the way I'm gonna run my tack signal. I'm just gonna tap in beside it, because previously I had my tack to my cluster tapped in the same terminal beside it. Now I have the signal for the sniper tab beside it. And I don't think that's gonna give me any issues. We'll find out. I've never had any issues with two signals running off this before, but this is a little bit different. Sniper could be a little bit more pickier, and we'll go from there. And I know grounds are very, very finicky about that stuff, and we'll find out with this. And here's another deal. Instead of finding a switch 12 volts underneath the dash and hoping it stayed constant all the time, I'm gonna reuse my toggle from my fuel pump previously, and that's gonna run the Holley system. So I'll have to cut the switch on to start it, flip this on, and turn the switch to turn it over. And that's the way I'm gonna run it. And if I ever wanna go back, I don't have to rewire my toggle switch all the way back to the trunk, even though it's not really safe. But yeah, that's all the wiring up front. This is where I ran my battery 12 volts, battery negative, and my fuel pump wire. Just stuck it right beside the frame here, out of the way. And another thing, not really anything I'm going to tell you about this wiring here. Yeah, nothing really important. But when you're wiring, make sure you stay away from your seats. I've seen people put the wire right up against the seat and it get pinched. And most of the time it'll just kill the connection, but sometimes you might have a fire. In this case, if I'd got them 12 volts pinched, I'd probably have a fire. But yeah, let me go show you guys what I've got going on in the back. And those are where the wires I ran all the way out to the trunk. Ran across the back here. There's my toggle wire, my switch 12 volts right running straight down, as you can see. Ran all the way across, and I just used some ring terminals on these cheap connectors. Both sides, negative and positive. And there's my switch, 12 volts running that toggle switch. And behind there is my extra fuel pump wiring. Out of sight, out of mind, like I said. I didn't want to deal with cutting the wires because I don't know how it goes. Later on, you'll have to do something. You won't have enough wire and you can't glue it back. Yeah, let me start it up for you guys. We'll see if it's going to start. I believe it will. Only thing I was worried about was the fuel filter, but it should start. It started, as you guys saw in the previous video. It started up, didn't give me no issues. I'm really relieved with that. I was a little on edge, worried about it. It looks like I had nothing to worry about at all. Now, all I like for a test drive is going to get my air filter, which I know where it's at. Just have to go get it. They just don't know it. Got to install my passenger seat back in place, get my trunk carpet back in place, tuck away the wiring, put in a few little trim pieces here and there, install my radio, and I'll be ready to get it on out. Probably gonna wash it first. I haven't drove this car in 4 or 5 months. Last time I drove it, I installed the full 3-inch exhaust system, which it's not really full, it's dumped at the axle right before it doesn't cross over. And that week I took it to a show and go. That was the last time I drove it. I ran it on the track. I don't know if I'll put the video in or not. I might save it later, who knows. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this works. Hopefully you guys are too. Hope everybody's motivated. I sure am. I'm ready for my test drive. So I'll catch you guys later.